Guys, hopefully you're all doing really good. In today's lesson, we are going to be talking about the squat move. The squat move is the start to the downswing, and it's what we have seen the greatest golfers do so elegantly and so well. And what we mean by a squat motion is almost like a lowering to the ground, which is brilliantly demonstrated to this day by Dustin. So, before we get stuck into talking about how to squat and a great little easy, well, I say great and easy little drill as to how to demonstrate the squat motion, the first question is, do you need to squat? And the answer to this is, well, no, you don't have to squat in the downswing position. But this video is not necessarily just how to squat, it's also going to help you in a tremendous way on how to sequence the downswing correctly. Because there are two faults, and the common fault is over the top. And an over the top really plagues many amateur golfers. And in today's video, even if you don't squat or choose to squat, it will help you tremendously understand how you should be sequencing your downswing. So let's get stuck into it. So first things first, what do we see with DJ as he initiates his downswing? We see how he is able to start the downswing by triggering a rotation of the body. So the body is moving towards the target, but what we also notice is this sort of significant drop in height. So if we were to draw a line on his head, we know that he loses height coming in towards the downswing position. And more notably, what we can also see is this sort of shallowing motion of the golf club as well. So instead of, let's say, a pretty typical amateur golf swing, which would look more this way, so it almost looks like the head goes forward, even slightly up, the kind of golf club starts to maybe even come down more vertical, and there's certainly no lowering. If anything, it looks like you're kind of standing up more compared to somebody like DJ, who would move much more this way with the triggering rotation. So it'd be a question of, well, how is that exactly happening, and why are most amateur golfers failing potentially with trying to emulate a professional golf swing? Well, this is what you're going to find really beneficial out of today's video, because with the majority of people that I meet, at some stage in their golf swing changes, they have tried to do things like shallow the golf club, drop the trail shoulder down, and it's failed and it's never materialized to anything. And the reason for this is, well, exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you today as to the consequences of why these things are happening. So what I want to do first and foremost is I definitely want to keep this video really simple, and it's all about basically a drill and a feeling, so you can just get on with it, and it's something that we can talk about in much more detail in a future session. So let's get stuck into that first. What you need is a cane. Place the cane through your belt loops, and actually you don't even need the club for the first part of this. Put your hands across your shoulders going towards your posture. First thing that I want you to do, take your backswing position and just do some swings where you're concentrating on re-establishing your angles as you start the downswing. This means you would start in a state of, should we say, angle like so, so flex. In the backswing position, you would end up more upright. So as you start the downswing, I want you to concentrate on re-establishing your flex. So from face on, we would go flex, extension, back to upright, back into flex. So that's the first thing that I want you to get a feeling for. Now, the key thing is when you're doing this is to try and keep your head still and just almost feel like you're pushing your bum back. So see what I'm doing here? I'm sort of pushing my bum back, keeping my head still in the respect that it's not moving to the left. Yes, it will be moving downward. So that's the first thing. By kind of me pushing my pelvis back away from me and keeping my head still, re-establishes this flex, and it also therefore leads to this sort of loss of height. Now, Let's pause there for a moment and just switch back to our over-the-top golfer. Now, our over-the-top golfer is somebody who, as he starts the downswing, he or she starts the downswing, they would look this way. So that basically means the pelvis would be going, should we say, more horizontal. So that means that I'm standing more upright. If you watch the trail shoulder will move this way, and the club shaft will therefore move in this sort of fashion. Actually, by just concentrating on the drill that I just demonstrated, if you were able to do that and then hold a golf club, you would start to change from this motion to this motion. So by just simply doing the move that I just, kind of showed you, all of a sudden what we would see is the way the right shoulder would drop down because of the state of, as we can see here, flexion, and therefore the arms will drop down, and the club would start to potentially behave much better as opposed to moving this way. Now, that's the brilliant thing about this, because if you are somebody who is just an over-the-top swinger, has never been able to remedy it, then that's all you need. Stop right there and start sequencing some swings from there. The drill for you would be to become accustomed to that move on its own, that drill there, and then to hit some shots with that feeling. Keep your head there, bring your arms down, and that would help you massively get the club back on plane. Now, let's go back to the drill. So let's say that that part of the video isn't for you. So you're not somebody who does swing over the top and you're not just that interested in counteracting that. Well, that's great. Now what you need to do is you need to rotate, but in particular, you now need to learn how to separate. So we go back to this drill. This means that you can do this. What you now need to start doing is, as you are maintaining your angles and your feels, then you now need to start feeling like it's more of a separation. So if I swing up to the top, not a separation like so, okay, where we're going to be spinning out and losing our angles, but a separation where I'm still going to be thinking about pulling my lead hip back like so, whilst maintaining my flex. All of a sudden then we can start to see the way we would be able to emulate the same sort of motion as to exactly what we see with DJ, where he shifts slightly to his left as he pulls the lead side back in a separational fashion, which then gives him the ability to bring the club down like so. And he's kind of, if you like, this state of flexion means that he's not encroaching, moving closer towards the golf ball, and he's therefore keeping his pelvis more down to the ground, re-establishing that state of flexion, able to create space for his hands and arms to stay in front of his body, and then continue to swing through. So there we go then. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Like I say, there's two different blends. You've got your over-the-top golfer who can now just start eradicating that by feeling the squat motion, and there's the potentially not over-the-top golfer who wants to learn how to rotate without coming out of posture, and that's exactly how you can do it as well. The drill is building an element of awareness. You 100% need to do that first. Get accustomed to these angles. Once you get a feel for the angles you're creating, you have a far greater chance of being able to put that in towards your golf swing. See you guys again really soon.